Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling something pretty monumental. We're diving into a philosophical blueprint for achievement, one that really fundamentally shaped modern capitalism.
Yeah, it's based on analyzing literally hundreds of successful American leaders. We're talking figures like Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, giants.
And this isn't just, your average business book.
No, not at all. The source material itself calls it a textbook on individual achievement. It actually says it demands study, digestion, and meditation. It's presented as this really effective formula for turning desires, intangible things, into actual physical reality.
So our mission today is to really dig into that, to excavate the core operating principles, the foundational steps that supposedly make this whole system work.
Right. We're focusing on four key pillars they lay out. The power of what they call definite desire, then leveraging specialized knowledge, the absolute necessity of persistence, and this fascinating concept Andrew Carnegie swore by the Mastermind.
And there's this idea of a singular secret hidden within it all.
Exactly. The text literally claims this secret will jump from the page and stand boldly before you if you are ready for it, which implies, your readiness, your focus is kind of the final key.
The validation they offer right up front is pretty compelling, too. You have Andrew Carnegie, who had very little schooling himself, using this philosophy to coach young men, often starting with absolutely nothing and guiding them to amass huge fortunes.
It really drives home that it wasn't about who you knew or where you came from. It was about applying these principles. And there's a really personal example, too. The author's own son, Blair.
Right. Born without normal hearing. A significant handicap.
A huge one. But by applying these principles rigorously, Blair apparently converted that handicap into what the source calls an asset of great value. He achieved success way beyond what seemed physically possible. It shows the philosophy supposedly works even against really tough odds.
Okay, so let's unpack this blueprint. Where do we start? The very beginning, I guess.
Well, the philosophy is crystal clear on this. All achievement, everything starts with a burning desire to be and to do.
Burning desire, not just a casual wish.
No, it has to be specific and it has to be intense. Like they say, dreams aren't born from indifference or laziness. You can't just kind of want it.
And that word definite seems crucial.
It's the linchpin. A vague hope like, oh, I wish I were rich, that's useless according to this. It needs to be a specific goal, specific amount, maybe tied to a specific date and backed by a specific plan. That definiteness creates the internal heat, the drive.
Okay, so the story that really hammers this home is Edwin C. Barnes.
Ah, yes, Barnes. His story is incredible. He had this one single, all-consuming obsession. He wanted to be a business associate of Thomas Edison.
Not just work for him, but with him.
Exactly. And the obstacles were, huge. He didn't know Edison personally. He apparently looked like a tramp when he showed up.
And he had no money for the train ticket, right? How did he even get there?
He traveled by blind baggage. Basically, he hitched a ride on a freight train, illegally, dangerously, just to get to Edison's lab in New Jersey. That's commitment.
Wow. So he finally shows up. What did Edison think?
Well, Edison himself said later that Barnes looked like an ordinary tramp.
Yeah.
But there was something in his face, an unmistakable determination. Edison recognized that quality, a man willing to bet everything on one single purpose, he said, is sure to win.
So did Edison just hire him as an associate then and there?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Barnes took whatever work he could get, menial stuff at a nominal wage. He wasn't given the partnership. He was just in the building.
But he stuck around.
He stuck around. And this is the key part. He was content just being close to his goal. He spent 5 years doing unimportant work with no real encouragement from Edison, just waiting, biding his time.
5 years? Most people would have given up after, 5 weeks?
Exactly. But in Barnes's mind, he was already Edison's associate. That desire was so definite, so obsessive, it was like a fixed reality for him. So when the opportunity finally came...
Which was what?
Edison developed a new office machine, the Ediphone dictating machine. And nobody was really enthusiastic about selling it except Barnes, because he knew this was his chance. His internal faith, that certainty, allowed him to see the opportunity and seize it. He got the contract, made a fortune, and became Edison's associate. His desire became fact.
That's an amazing story. It really shows the power of that unwavering focus.
And it sets the stage perfectly for the practical steps the philosophy lays out, the 6 steps to riches. These are meant to be the guide for turning any definite desire, not just money, into its actual equivalent.
And it emphasizes imagination, not just hard work or education.
Right. It's about mental organization. So let's quickly run through them because they're foundational.
Okay, step 1.
First, fix in your mind the exact amount of money or the specific goal you desire. Be precise. No vagueness allowed.
Okay, got it. Exact amount. Step 2.
Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for what you desire. There's no free lunch, basically. You have to offer value.
Makes sense. Third.
Establish a definite date by which you intend to possess it. A deadline creates urgency.
Fourth.
Create a definite plan for carrying out your desire. And this is important. Begin at once. Whether you feel ready or not, just start.
Okay, plan and immediate action. Fifth.
Write it all down. A clear, concise statement. The amount, goal, what you'll give, the date, the plan. Writing forces clarity.
And the 6th step connects to the next big idea, right? Visualization.
Exactly. Step 6 is read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once before bed, once when you wake up. And here's the absolute key. As you read, you must see and feel yourself already in possession of it.
So it's not just reading words. It's about generating that feeling, that white heat of desire they talk about.
Precisely. If you can't vividly imagine the riches or the achievement, you won't see them in reality. The imagination has to pave the way.
It's an emotional process. Like the poet they quote says, success is all in the state of mind.
Sooner or late, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. It really boils down to belief. #2. Faith, autosuggestion, and the mind's magnetic power.
Which leads us perfectly into the next pillar, faith. And again, we're not talking about just hoping for the best here.
No, the text defines faith as a concrete state of mind, an absolute belief. It's not wishful thinking. And it says you need open-mindedness to even develop it. A closed mind can't generate faith or courage.
And how do you get this state of mind if you don't naturally have it? Through something called autosuggestion.
Right. Autosuggestion is the mechanism. It's about consciously, voluntarily feeding your subconscious mind the beliefs you want it to hold. It's like programming yourself for success.
They use a really striking analogy for this, the crime analogy. It's a bit dark, actually.
It is, but it's powerful. The idea is
Yes.
when someone first encounters crime, they hate it, right? They abhor it.
Sure.
But if they're constantly exposed to it, they learn to tolerate it, to endure it. And if they stay in that environment long enough, they might eventually embrace it, become influenced by it.
Okay. So how does that relate to faith?
The parallel is that the mind takes on the nature of whatever influences dominate it. So if you deliberately, repeatedly suggest to yourself that you possess faith, that you have courage, that you are capable, your mind will eventually accept that as its reality. You're conditioning it.
But it's not just about repeating words, is it? There's something about emotion.
Crucial point. The subconscious mind, the deep driver of action, apparently only acts on thoughts that are mixed with emotion or feeling. Things like faith, love, even strong desire or sex energy.
So plain, dry statements just bounce off.
Pretty much, according to this philosophy. They won't penetrate. That's why step 6 of the money-making process wasn't just reading the statement. It was reading it aloud while seeing and feeling yourself already having achieved the goal.
You have to inject the emotion.
You have to emotionalize the thought. That repetition, combined with feeling, communicates the desire directly to the subconscious in a spirit of absolute faith. It bypasses your conscious doubts.
Okay, now here's where it gets, well, a bit metaphysical. This idea that we're masters of our fate because we control our thoughts, and our thoughts connect to something bigger.
Yeah, it definitely ventures there. They talk about the universe, the ether, being filled with this universal power or energy.
And this power, it adapts to our thoughts.
That's the claim, that this power takes the nature of the thoughts we hold, positive or negative, and influences reality to transmute those thoughts into their physical equivalent, like manifest them.
So as a modern listener, how do we approach that? Is it literal energy fields, or is the core idea just intense focus creating opportunities?
Well, the text presents it as quite literal. That's part of its unique impact.
Yeah.
But the practical takeaway, the nugget you can definitely use is this. Think of your brain as a magnet.
Okay.
The dominant thoughts you consistently hold, especially the emotionalized ones, they magnetize your brain. It starts attracting compatible vibrations, compatible ideas, people, opportunities. It's like tuning a radio.
So if you're constantly tuned into the frequency of success and abundance,
You start attracting things on that wavelength. But, and this is a huge warning, The power is non-discriminatory.
Meaning?
It works just as effectively for negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're tuned into fear, poverty, failure, it will attract those circumstances just as readily. You really, truly get what you focus on most intensely.
That explains how someone like Mahatma Gandhi could wield so much power without traditional resources.
Exactly. He had no money, no army, no warships, but he influenced 200 million minds.
Through faith?
Through the principle of faith, yes. He got all those minds to coalesce and move in unison. He used emotionalized thought on a massive scale, creating a kind of collective mastermind. It shows faith isn't just personal, it could be a world-changing force.
And they connect this to historical religious figures, too.
Right. The source points to the Nazarene, suggesting that the core force behind Christianity's spread, and the achievements often called miracles, was fundamentally faith in action. This power is presented as universal, available to anyone who learns to cultivate and direct it through deliberate, emotionalized thought. Tag 3. Specialized knowledge and the mastermind principle.
Okay, so we have the burning desire. We've built the faith through autosuggestion.
Yeah.
Now, do we just need to become walking encyclopedias? Learn everything?
Actually, no. And this is a really important point the philosophy makes. It kind of pours cold water on the idea that just accumulating vast general knowledge is the key to, say, riches.
So knowing trivia isn't the answer?
Not in itself. General knowledge, they say, is of little use for accumulating wealth. Knowledge only becomes power, actual power, when it's organized into definite plans of action, directed towards a specific, definite end.
And failure to do that is the missing link in education.
That's what they call it, the gap between just having information and knowing how to organize and apply it effectively.
The famous Henry Ford story comes in here, right? The libel suit.
Yes, perfect example. Ford was being questioned aggressively in court, trying to paint him as ignorant because he lacked formal education. They called him an ignorant pacifist.
And asked him basic history questions like, who is Benedict Arnold?
Right, trying to trip him up, show he wasn't generally knowledgeable. And Ford, getting frustrated, basically said something like, look, I don't need to clutter my mind with that stuff.
Because
he had a row of electric push buttons on his desk. He said if he needed an answer to any question, he could push a button and summon an expert who could provide it, probably better than he could himself.
So the point wasn't that Ford was ignorant, but that he didn't need to personally possess all the specialized knowledge.
Exactly. Accumulating a fortune requires highly organized, specialized knowledge, yes. But the person driving the accumulation doesn't need to hold it all in their own head. Ford built an empire with less than a 6th grade education because he knew how to acquire and direct the specialized knowledge of others.
So the lesson isn't don't learn, it's learn strategically.
Precisely. First, identify the specific specialized knowledge you need for your definite purpose. Then, figure out how to get it. It could be from your own experience, sure, but also through cooperation with others, which leads to the mastermind or universities, libraries, special courses. It's about continuous, focused learning and acquisition.
Which brings us neatly to the mastermind principle. Carnegie credited his entire fortune to this.
He did. The definition they give is pretty clear. Coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose.
So Carnegie had his group of around 50 key people, all working together towards the goal of making and selling steel.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting again. Is this just good teamwork or something more? The text talks about a psychic phase.
Okay, I was going to ask about that. Psychic phase, spiritual units of energy. Is that just fancy language for synergy?
That's the debate, isn't it? But the text insists it's more. It claims that when minds coordinate in perfect harmony, something unique happens. These spiritual energy units form an affinity. It's not just delegation or collaboration. It's presented as a genuine psychic synergy.
Meaning the combined thought power is actually greater, multiplied somehow.
That's the idea. They use a battery metaphor. One battery gives some energy. A group of connected batteries gives much more. Similarly, coordinated brains, working in harmony, generate exponentially more thought energy.
And that extra energy benefits everyone in the group.
Yes, that's key. The increased energy becomes available to every individual brain in the mastermind. It lifts the collective capacity. People can access ideas, solutions, insights they couldn't reach on their own.
So how do you make this work practically? It's not just getting smart people in a room.
No, there are specific requirements. First, you have to decide what you offer the other members in return. It doesn't have to be money. It could be your knowledge, contacts, resources.
Yeah.
It has to be mutually beneficial. Second, you need to meet frequently, regularly. to refine plans and maintain that connection.
And the third point seems critical. Harmony.
Absolutely critical. Perfect harmony is stressed repeatedly. Any friction, disagreement, lack of trust, it breaks the connection. The source flat out says failure to maintain harmony guarantees the failure of the mastermind alliance.
So things like ego, jealousy, they're not just personality clashes, they actually disrupt this supposed energy field.
That's precisely the implication. They're literal drains on the collective power. Henry Ford seemed to grasp this, maybe instinctively. His biggest leaps forward apparently came after he became close friends with minds like Edison, Firestone, Burroughs, Burbank.
He was absorbing their vibrations of thought.
That's the language used. Even informally, he was creating these powerful mastermind alliances, consciously or not, and it amplified his own genius.
Okay, this is all fascinating theory, but does it cash out? Let's look at the U.S. Steel example. That seems like the ultimate proof of concept.
It really is dramatic. The entire idea for this massive billion-dollar corporation, U.S. Steel, originated entirely in the mind of one man, Charles M. Schwab.
And he followed the formula we've been discussing.
To the letter. He conceived the idea, he mixed it with absolute faith, he developed a detailed plan, and then he executed it.
The execution being that famous speech, 90 minutes to J.P. Morgan and the biggest financiers of the day.
Yep, December 1900 at the University Club. And it wasn't just a good speech, it was a masterclass in applying these principles.
What did he actually say that convinced these, titans of industry?
He didn't just vaguely suggest a merger. He laid out a highly organized, compelling program. He showed them exactly how consolidating operations would work, how they could boost efficiency through specialization, which mills to scrap, how to capture foreign markets. He painted a crystal clear picture.
And convinced J.P. Morgan that bringing Andrew Carnegie into a giant trust was not only possible but essential.
Exactly. His eloquence, backed by that detailed plan and his own burning faith in the idea, was irresistible.
And the deal itself was enormous. Schwab negotiated Carnegie's price, $400 million.
Right, which apparently included an extra $80 million above the basic appraisal figure, purely based on Schwab's negotiation and the power of the idea. And Morgan later told someone, if you had asked for $100 million more, you'd have gotten it.
Wow. So the value placed on Schwab's idea
was staggering. The analysis suggests Schwab's concept, plus his faith and plan to convey it, increased the appraised value of the combined properties by an estimated $600 million. Just for an idea, properly conceived, planned, and communicated. It's a massive validation of turning thought into tangible wealth.
Okay, so that's the billion-dollar scale. But how does this apply to, everyday life, like getting a job, marketing your own services?
The principles scale down perfectly.
Yeah.
And here, the source actually challenges some common advice, like start at the bottom and work your way up.
Really? What's wrong with starting at the bottom?
They argue it's often fatal to ambition. Why? Because you get stuck in the rut. The daily grind, the low-level routine, it becomes a habit that's hard to break. It can kill your vision.
So what's the alternative? Start midway up.
The suggestion is to aim 1 or 2 steps above the bottom. That way, from day one, you're forced to observe how things work at a slightly higher level. You see the opportunities, you start thinking more managerially, you develop the habit of looking up.
Interesting. And there's an example of someone doing this incredibly effectively. The college graduate.
Oh yeah, the mother who prepared the brief for her son. This wasn't just a resume.
No, it was like a 50-page business proposal for himself.
Exactly. Beautifully organized, detailed his abilities, his experience, sure. But crucially, it included a specific, actionable plan for the job he wanted. Even suggestions for how the company could improve its own operations using his skills.
Talk about specialized knowledge applied directly. What happened?
He got the job, first interview, at the salary he set. Started as a junior executive, not an entry-level grunt. The analysis. This planned, organized presentation clipped off no less than 10 years of typical career climbing.
That's powerful. So for sustained success in selling your services, they offered this QQS formula.
Right. Simple but profound. QQS stands for quality, quantity, and spirit.
Okay, break this down. Quality.
Performing every single task, every detail, in the most efficient, excellent way possible, always striving to do it better.
Quantity.
Rendering all the service you're capable of. And more than that, continuously increasing the amount of service you provide over time. Going the extra mile, habitually.
And spirit. This seems linked to the harmony idea in the mastermind.
Absolutely. Spirit is about your conduct. Agreeable, harmonious, cooperative. It's the attitude that makes people want to work with you. Carnegie apparently stressed this hugely. He wouldn't keep anyone, no matter how brilliant, if they couldn't work harmoniously. That positive spirit is often what makes your services truly valuable and permanent.
It reflects a shift in business attitude, doesn't it? Away from public be damned.
Completely. The philosophy champions a partnership view. Employer, employee, you're both fellow workers serving the public, the real boss. So courtesy, harmony, service. Those become the essential watchwords for lasting success.
Okay, the formula seems clear. Desire, faith, specialized knowledge, mastermind, organized plans. But putting it into practice, that's where the real challenge lies, right? Dealing with setbacks, with our own weaknesses.
Absolutely. And the philosophy identifies the single biggest weakness, the most common cause of failure. Yeah. A lack of persistence.
Just not sticking with it.
Right. It says persistence is the ultimate test. It even suggests this hidden guide, this universal energy, actually tests people through discouragement, through failure. Only the ones who refuse to quit, who pick themselves up again and again, actually reach their definite goal.
Because weak desires just can't sustain that effort.
Exactly. A lukewarm wish won't survive the first major obstacle. Your desire has to be burning hot to fuel the necessary persistence.
There are some great examples of this. Fannie Hurst, the writer.
Oh yeah. She came to New York determined to be a writer. Received 36 rejection slips. Including from major publications like the Saturday Evening Post.
36. Most people would have changed careers long before that.
But she didn't. She persisted, eventually broke through, conquered Broadway, made a fortune. Why? Because she simply wouldn't quit.
And Kate Smith, the singer.
Same story. Sang for years, often without pay, just kept showing up, kept performing. Until eventually, Broadway basically had to give in, paid her a huge salary, because, as someone apparently said, she didn't know when you're whipped. A refusal to accept defeat.
So persistence is a state of mind born from that intense desire.
Entirely. You strengthen the desire, you automatically strengthen the persistence.
Now, the source also lists 30 major causes of failure. It argues failure isn't random bad luck.
No, it stems from definite, identifiable causes. And knowing them is crucial for avoiding them. We've touched on lack of purpose and persistence, but there are others worth highlighting. Well, poor health, for one. Often linked to things we can control, like diet, exercise, even negative thinking. If your body, your physical engine, isn't running well, your mental power suffers.
Makes sense. What else?
Unfavorable environment during childhood. Growing up surrounded by negativity or fear can make developing faith really difficult later on. It's a hurdle many have to overcome.
Lack of self-control is a big one, too, specifically around money.
Yes, the habit of indiscriminate spending, living paycheck to paycheck, always in debt. It creates this constant feel of poverty, undermines your confidence, reduces your bargaining power. Having some money saved provides courage.
And intolerance, being closed-minded.
Fatal to the mastermind, fatal to acquiring new knowledge. You have to be willing to consider new ideas, different perspectives, even if they challenge your own.
And then there are the twin brothers of disaster.
Indecision and procrastination. Oh boy. Indecision is failing to make choices promptly. Procrastination is putting off action once a decision is made.
They often come with a sidekick, excuses.
Always. The source is brutal on this. It says these habits must be killed off immediately. They will tie you to failure if you let them. The philosophy demands prompt, firm decisions and immediate action.
But often these behaviors, these failures, they're symptoms of something deeper, right? These 6 basic fears they talk about, the ghosts.
Exactly. These fears, if you don't control them, they paralyze your reason, destroy your imagination, kill your enthusiasm. They're the root cause of much failure.
The first one, the fear of poverty, is called the most destructive.
Yes. It's described as being almost primal, inherited from millennia of humans preying on each other financially. Poverty brings suffering, humiliation. It can make people obsessed with money in unhealthy ways, create inferiority complexes. It's a really tough one to master.
Then the fear of criticism, that seems incredibly common.
Almost universal, they say, and absolutely deadly to achievement because it crushes initiative. Think about it, people conforming in how they dress, the cars they drive, afraid to stand out, or worse, afraid to set high goals because, well, what will people say?
Yeah, worrying about judgment stops so many people from even starting.
It forces people to suppress their unique talents, their genius, just to fit in and avoid potential criticism.
Next is the fear of ill health. This leads to hypochondria.
Often, yes. Imaginary illness, worry, stress, fear itself.
Yeah.
They actually break down the body's resistance. The source notes a physician estimated 75% of people seeking medical help are suffering from conditions brought on or aggravated by fear and worry.
And the cure is often mental, like that story of the young man cured by a nurse's hoax.
Right. She basically faked a romantic interest to shift his mental attitude away from despair, and his health improved dramatically. Shows the power of focus.
The fear of loss of love, described as the most painful.
Yeah, leading to jealousy, suspicion, even breakdown in extreme cases. It destroys harmony, obviously essential for things like the mastermind or any healthy relationship. The text notes social dynamics might make women more susceptible sometimes, but the fear itself is damaging for anyone.
And the last two relate to mortality. Fear old age.
Tied largely to the fear of poverty and old age losing independence, and also, interestingly, to fear based on some religious teachings about aging and decline.
And finally, the fear of death itself.
Which the source attributes heavily to religious fanaticism and the unknowns of where do we come from, where are we going. It suggests scientific understanding is helping to lessen this fear by replacing doctrines of eternal punishment with ideas of eternal change and energy transformation.
So all these fears manifest as worry.
Pretty much. Worry is defined simply as sustained fear caused by indecision.
So the antidote to worry isn't just positive thinking, it's making a decision.
Exactly. The habit of prompt and firm decision-making cuts off worry at the root. Use that stark example of the man facing execution.
He was calm because he'd made a final decision.
Right. He decided to accept his fate in good spirit. Once that decision was made, the worry, the fear, vanished. He found peace. The point being, if decision can bring peace in the face of death, it can certainly help you stop passively accepting circumstances you don't want in life. Make a decision, make a plan, and act. So after exploring desire, faith, knowledge, harmony, persistence, and overcoming fear, it all circles back to one fundamental thing.
Which is?
The one thing man has absolute control over, his thoughts. This is called his divine prerogative.
Divine prerogative, meaning it's our inherent right, our unique power as humans to choose what we think about.
Exactly, and the implication is huge. If you fail to exercise this control, if you let your thoughts run wild or be dictated by external factors, then you ultimately control nothing else in your life. Doesn't matter how smart or capable you are otherwise.
The danger, then, is leaving your mental doors unlocked, letting anything wander in.
Precisely. Our minds are constantly bombarded by thought impulses from others, news, opinions, negativity, doubts from friends or family. The source calls these tramp thoughts.
Tramp thoughts.
Yeah.
Like mental vagrants.
Yeah, and if your mind is just open, passive, these negative influences, these stray thoughts, can lodge themselves in there and actually start shaping your destiny just as much as your own intentional thoughts. Constant vigilance is required.
So successful people actively filter this.
Absolutely. Think of F.W. Woolworth. Everyone told him a 5 and 10 cent store wouldn't work. He succeeded because he exercised his right to keep those negative suggestions out of his mind.
And Henry Ford, same thing, ignoring the naysayers who said cheap, reliable cars were impossible.
Exactly. He had a mind, and he controlled it rigidly. He shut out the chorus of negativity and focused only on his definite purpose.
This level of mind control, this intense focus, does it lead to something beyond just logical planning? The sixth sense.
Yes, that's presented as the apex of the entire philosophy. The sixth sense, or creative imagination. This is described as the part of the subconscious mind that acts like a receiving set.
Receiving what?
Ideas, plans, solutions. They flash into the mind fully formed, what we might call hunches or inspirations. This is supposedly the point where our individual finite mind makes contact with the universal mind, or infinite intelligence. It's where genius happens.
Can you just turn this on?
Not directly, no. The source is clear.
Yeah.
It's subtle. You can't really describe it fully to someone who hasn't mastered the earlier principles, the desire, the faith, the organized planning, the persistence. But it can be cultivated.
How?
Through practice.
Yeah.
Through using the principles consistently. Through learning to trust that still small voice within, and also through deliberate stimulation.
Stimulation, like what? This is where the idea of transmuting energy comes in, isn't it? Specifically sex energy.
Yes, it's one of the more, shall we say, provocative parts of the text. It suggests that the creative imagination, the sixth sense, can be significantly stimulated by learning to transmute the powerful emotion of sex into creative effort.
So it's not about suppressing it, but redirecting it.
Exactly. The analysis presented is that many highly successful individuals, particularly men in that era's context, had strong drives, but had learned the art of channeling that intense energy away from purely physical expression into their work, their creative pursuits.
And this is why they suggest people seldom achieve great success before age 40, because they haven't learned this transmutation.
That's the hypothesis offered, that younger people tend to dissipate this powerful energy before learning how to harness it, convert it into the calmer, sustained focus needed for major achievement. It's about lifting yourself into a higher sphere of thought, fueled by potent emotional energy.
Whether that stimulus comes from love, desire, or even the synergy of a mastermind group, it unlocks creativity.
Right. And the author even gives his own, very unusual method for cultivating desirable traits using autosuggestion, his invisible counselors.
Ah, yes, the imaginary council meetings. With Lincoln, Edison, Carnegie.
Nightly meetings in his imagination. He'd address them aloud, asking to acquire specific qualities from each: Lincoln's persistence, Edison's faith, Carnegie's organization.
That's intense visualization.
It's autosuggestion raised to an art form. A deliberate, vivid mental exercise designed to impress upon his own subconscious the character traits of the people he admired most. He even said they became so real, they developed distinct personalities in his mind. It was about actively rebuilding his own character. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so we have covered a lot of ground here. We've gone through this whole philosophical blueprint. And the core message seems to be that achievement, whether it's riches or anything else, isn't about luck.
No, definitely not. It's presented as a response to definite demands, based on applying specific principles methodically. That burning, definite desire has to be the starting point.
And you mix it with faith, real gut-level belief fueled by emotion.
Right. And you back it with specialized knowledge organized into concrete plans. Leveraging the power of others through a harmonious mastermind group is key.
And underpinning it all, persistence. That absolute refusal to quit when things get tough.
Because just knowing this stuff, having the ability, it's never enough on its own. The real price, the cost of influencing your subconscious and making reality bend to your will, is everlasting persistence. You can't dabble.
Which brings us to our final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. The source material insists your brain is both broadcasting and receiving thought vibrations, like a two-way radio connected to this universal ether.
So if you accept that you are the master of your own mind, the question becomes, what thoughts, what definite impulses are you deliberately choosing to cultivate and broadcast, starting right now?
And maybe just as important, what negative tramp thoughts, fears about money, criticism, health, indecision are you going to consciously decide to shut out completely starting today?
To clear the airwaves, essentially, so your definite chief aim has a clear path. The control, the source says, and therefore the destiny that follows. It's absolutely yours.